A federal judge on Thursday ordered former Trump advisor Steve Bannon to report to prison on July 1st to begin a 4-month prison sentence for defying subpoenas from the January 6th committee after a higher court rejected his appeal. Bannon was found guilty on 2 counts of contempt of Congress in July of 22 for defying the committee subpoenas, but his sentence had been put on hold while he appealed the case. U.S. District Judge Carl said on Thursday that he did not believe that the original basis for his stay of the imposition of Bannon's sentence existed any longer after an appeals court upheld Bannon's conviction. Now, Bannon could still appeal Nichols' ruling that he must report to prison. Bannon was sentenced more than a year and a half ago, back in October of 2022, to 4 months behind prison, the same sentence that's currently being served by another Trump advisor, Peter Navarro, who also refused to comply with the January 6th committee subpoena. Now, Assistant U.S. Attorney Molly Gadsden says, quote, "The defendant chose allegiance to Donald Trump over the compliance with the law." This is what she said. Now, she also serves currently as a special counsel on Jack Smith's team. This is what she said to the jurors back in 2022 during her closing arguments. Now, Bannon's sentence was put on hold pending the appeal, and his lawyers made their case to a 3-judge federal appeals court panel back in November. The appeals court upheld Bannon's conviction just this past May, and federal prosecutors soon filed a motion asking Nichols to order Bannon to report to prison. Federal prosecutors told Nichols that there was no legal basis for the continued stay of the sentence after the federal appeals court rejected the appeal. Bannon's lawyers argue that the sentence should be stayed until they appeal it for the full appeals court and the Supreme Court. Any delay, of course, and I believe this is possibly what the other side is really thinking, any delay, of course, would benefit Bannon if Trump is elected president in November and decides, just as he did on the last day of his presidency on January 20th, 2021, to pardon Bannon on federal criminal charges. Now today, as Bannon entered the courthouse, he was smiling as he went through the security area there to enter this Thursday morning today, which is June 6th. A person nearby shouted Trump 2024 to him. And then Bannon allegedly walked over and smiled and shook his hand. I'm saying allegedly because I didn't see the clip. Nonetheless, following the judge's decision, he looked calm and he stayed smiling. Bannon's lawyer, David Schoen, sprung into action, however, becoming much more passionate than he'd been during the rest of the hearing. Judge Nichols told him, because of the passion that he was displaying, he says, quote, "One thing you have to learn as a lawyer, and that is that when a judge has made his decision, you don't stand up and start yelling," adding through Schoen's protest, "I've had enough." "I'm not yelling," Schoen retorted, and then said, "I was passionate." He was just being passionate. "You're sending a man to prison who thought he was complying with the law. We don't do that in my system," Schoen said, calling the decision contrary to our system of justice. "I think you should sit down," Nichols responded. So Nichols, a Trump appointee, has overseen a number of those January 6 cases. He's the judge who rejected the government's use of an obstruction of official proceeding charge, which has been used against hundreds of the January 6 defendants, as well as Trump himself. That case ultimately bubbled up to the Supreme Court, which heard oral arguments on the use of the statute in April. And on Wednesday, Nichols sentenced a January 6 defendant who assaulted law enforcement officers with bear spray and who was caught thanks to a sting operation. Get this, thanks to a sting operation of a woman that launched her own operation on a dating site app, Bumble, to more than 6 years in federal prison. Well, you guys let me know what you think down below in the comments. I can't wait to read them. For Headlines with a Voice, this has been the Lockhart News Brief.
Lockhart Perspective.